Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming to you live and direct. May 19th, 95th. This would have been the 95th birthday of El-Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, otherwise known as Malcolm X, otherwise known as Malcolm Little. He was born in 1925. 1925, May 19th, 1925. So, in honor of Malcolm, we put up a playlist on YouTube that you can access through YouTube or you can access through Facebook. Just look for the banner, any one of our banners that say "What's at the back of the black man's mind." It's got Malcolm's picture there. Click on the banner and the link will be over there at the end of the description. Just go ahead and click that link. That'll take you directly there. It's a 48-minute playlist that will take you, that will introduce you to a number of people that can describe what's in the back of at the back of the black man's mind, like Dr. Bobby Wright, Dr. Francis Welsen, KRS-One, Jamie Foxx. Oh, and of course, Luther, the Obama anger translator. Yeah, we can't forget Luther. Luther is very important. He's crucial to the whole piece because the other day, President Obama, former President Obama, did a graduation ceremony for high schoolers this year since they weren't able to have their own commencement speakers speak to them, etc. And for those areas without Wi-Fi, etc., he did they did a whole big shebang with star-studded cavalcade, etc., featuring former President Obama. And he needed I've seen him more. He was more direct in that particular setting than I've ever seen him, but he still could have used Luther, the Obama anger translator. So if you haven't seen that before, make sure to go to the playlist and check it out. Without further ado, we're moving on. Our proverb for the day is, what goes around comes around. Now that's a karmic kind of idea, that what goes around comes around. As you do unto others, so shall it be done unto you. Treat others the way you want to be treated. These are some of the things that we say to the children every day. They all basically mean the same thing. Be careful, because your chickens can come home to roost. Now, when Malcolm said that about the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, bless his soul, may he rest in peace, he got in a lot of trouble over that. Well, at least that was the excuse that they used to oust him from the Nation of Islam. But after that, when one door is closed, many doors are open. And he had become so well known that he had many more things that he could do with the rest of his time here on this earth. So, proverb of the day, what goes around comes around. And now we're going to continue with part 2 of the short ghost and their flash-eyed mother. It was these eyes which were bringing out splashes of fire all the time, and were used to bringing out fire on the firewood whenever she wanted to cook food. And the flash of fire of these eyes was so strong that it would catch the firewood at the same moment, like petrol or other inflammable spirit or gunpowder, and also use it at night as a flood of light in lighting the whole town as electricity lights. So by that, they were not using other lights except the flash fire of her eyes. Whenever one or more of the short ghosts who were serving her as their mother offended her, both eyes would be flashing out fire onto the body who offends her, and the fire would be burning the body at the same moment as fluffy things or rags. she was using it as a whip to flog any of her offenders, as it could be flashed to a long distance. For this reason, she was very fearful to other creatures coming to her town without special reason. Even His Majesty, the King of the Bush of Ghosts, would not say, "Who is she?" She was using all kinds of animal skins as clothes, which made her more fearful, ugly, and dreadful to see or look at, as she was not standing up or moving about. So all the short ghosts of this town who were under her flag were killing the bush animals and bringing them to her, although all of them were feeding on these animals as well. I was escorted before her on this day and stood before her as if I had been dissolved into vapor or no more alive, and also dreaming of her terrible, dreadful, ugly, dirty appearance without sleeping. She asked the short ghosts whether I am the son of the animal from whose pouch they took me out. All of them replied that they could not say definitely. After she heard so from them, then she flashed the fire of both her eyes onto my body, and it burnt the animal skin which I wore as a cloth, and also burnt some part of my body as well at the same time, because she wanted to know whether I could talk or not. But as my body caught fire and I cried suddenly with a loud voice, so when they heard my sorrowful voice, the whole of them burst into a great laugh at a time, as if uncountable cannons fired together, and her own laugh among the rest was just as if a bomb explodes. And as her own voice was louder in a very queer way, terrible and dreadful, on some of the big trees on hills around this town fell down, and I myself nearly sank into the ground to half of my body before some of these short ghosts pulled me out of the ground. But after she heard my voice, she believed that I am an earthly person. But she did not know how I managed to be in the bush of ghosts. Having believed that I'm an earthly person, then she asked me whether I would live with her. So I replied, yes. But she did not ask whether I escaped from somewhere or offended somebody before I reached there. After I agreed to her request, she ordered the short ghost to give me a short gun to be hunting with them. These short ghost hunters taught me how to kill the bush animals. Having qualified as a hunter, then I followed them to the bush. Whenever we were killing an animal, we would bring it to the flash-eyed mother, who was supposed to be our mother or guardian. So she would take it from us and cook it at the same time in the same place that she sat permanently like a stump. Having cooked it, the first thing she was doing was to serve the fleshy part of the animal to all the heads that surrounded her body. After that, she would serve the rest, fleshy part, to herself, and then the bony part to all the short ghosts. If all the heads and herself were eating at the same time, their mouths would be making noises as if 100 winches are working together. Within a minute, all the heads would finish their own, then would be asking for more immediately, as they were not satisfied with small food. So for this reason, the mother was not serving us with enough food so that it might be sufficient for them. All of them would be fighting, arguing, and flogging themselves while eating the food greedily. And also the biggest head, which belongs to their mother, would be settling their misunderstandings for them several times before they would finish the food. As she added the dirt as her beauty, so she was not checking all the heads from passing urine, excreta, and spitting on her body, which would wet all over her body. She does sound nasty. Hillary ain't got nothing on her. One day when we went to the bush since morning, it was hard for us before we killed a very small animal at about 4:30 p.m. Then we brought it to her. Having cooked it, she served very little to every one of the heads in such a way that the remainder would reach every one of us. But all these heads protested because the flash-eyed mother served us out of it. They wanted to eat all. Of course, when their mother noticed that they protested, she took all that she served to every one of us back from us and then shared it for them, because she did not want them to be hungry at any time. So all of us slept that night with empty stomachs. But when it was early in the morning, all of us struck going to the bush to hunt. When she noticed that we struck, she called the whole of us before her. She asked us to bring the animal which we killed for food that morning, but we said none. We told her further that we did not go to bush at all that day. Immediately, she heard so from us. She was exceedingly annoyed and started to flash the fire of her eyes onto us with all her power, so that the skins of the animals that every one of us wore caught fire at once, as by petro. And this means she was flogging us. As she was flogging us with the fire, all the heads on her body were also abusing, scorning, and cursing us badly. After that, she ordered us to go to bush at once, and we must not come back without an animal. Otherwise, all of us would be burnt to ashes, willing or not, she concluded. Then all of us went to the bush at the same time. Having reached the bush, God is so good, within an hour we killed a kind of ghost's animal which had plenty of fat, like a pig. Then we brought it to her. Having cooked it, she served all the heads to their entire satisfaction. After that, she served herself to her satisfaction, and then served us according to the rule and regulation given to her by the heads. So the whole of us ate this animal to our entire satisfaction, because this animal was as big as an elephant and also fatty. She had a kind of a terrible alarm, which was in a hidden part of her body, but it was not visible to us, except those heads and herself. If it was this alarm she was blowing every early in the morning to wake us up, but it would be after she had cooked a kind of short ghost pap, before it would be blowing repeatedly with a terrible sound. Whenever we heard it, every one of us would be in a single line before her as soldiers, and as every one of us had his own small basin or cup, which were made by them, then she would be serving us one by one with the pap, which would be poured into the cups. It would reach the half. It was like this we were receiving it, as when soldiers are receiving their rations before an officer. And all the heads had their own cups as well. But all the times that their mother was serving us, all of them would be telling her seriously and repeatedly that she was serving us with much food. These heads were always making noises, and all of them were not sleeping at the same time at night, because if some of them sleep, the rest would be taken until those who were sleeping would wake. Oh, the rest would be talking, until those who were sleeping would wake. Sometimes they would be abusing their mother whenever she was sleeping, and also snoring or snorting as if a sea is roaring with great power, as follows. Hear our flash-eyed mother, who is snoring like strong wind. But if she woke at that moment, they would tell her with a louder voice, "Take away your flash eyes from us." And that's the story of the short ghost and their flash-eyed mother. So now you know. Yeah, maybe you don't want to go there to the he said that was the 13th town of ghosts. Yeah, that might be somewhere you might want to miss that on your vacation trip, your itinerary. Don't put that on the itinerary. That didn't sound like such a good place to be, especially now with that stinky, big, huge, flash-eyed mother with fire coming out of her eyes. I don't know if it didn't sound like a very pleasant place. So at any rate, we are closing up here. We've gone a little bit over our time, but not too much. So we will see you here again this evening at 9 o'clock, and we will be carrying on. Remember, there are some special events going on today at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7:30. on Facebook. A number of groups are going to be live streaming memorial programs for in honor of the birthday of Malcolm X, El-Haj Malik El-Shabazz, otherwise known as Malcolm Little. So you can check that out. We will be doing our regular live stream just like we always do, noon and 9. Doc Ock signing out. We'll see you later, without a doubt. Hopefully we'll see you again here tomorrow, and we're going to continue on with my life in the bush of ghosts. My life in the bush of ghosts.